Good afternoon, everyone. This is really an exciting day. I think Flint was generous when he called the building next door unattractive. So I do want to welcome everybody on this historic day. We are finally celebrating the environmental cleanup of one of the most contaminated properties in the city of St. Louis. And I know that neighbors and longtime residents will join me in saying thank you to all of the many partners who have worked so hard to get us to this day. Of course, I also want to thank personally Mr. Flint Fowler. Flint has been a champion for kids, for the neighborhood, and for this property forever. Flint, as you know, is the president here at the Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater St. Louis, and his board and their tireless efforts have worked toward helping youth in our city. And thank you to the board for their collaboration on this land transfer and reuse of this site. The board and Flint continue to excel at helping young people realize their potential as productive, responsible, caring residents of our city and two-year venture for Otis. So thank you, Otis. Today we are witnessing the power of partnership. There are a few of us who can remember when this site was home to the Carburetor plant, which was once the nation's largest supplier of carburetors for gasoline and diesel engines. But like many factories of its kind, it was eventually replaced with modern technology. And the facility was closed almost 40 years ago in 1984, and the remaining equipment was dismantled or sold. But like most factory sites, it took some time to thoroughly clean up the multiple contaminants. And this site was the subject of significant concern regarding its condition and the potential exposures to the children and the residents in the area. The concern was so great that it was designated an environmental justice area. But here we are today. We're celebrating a new beginning. EPA, ACF Industries completed site work in May of this year. And I'm really so proud to say that the Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater St. Louis, the community leaders and partners, worked tirelessly with the EPA and ACF to see this through. And now the community can move forward in redeveloping this property into a tremendous community asset. The site is being acquired and redeveloped by the Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater St. Louis, which has long stood in the shadow of that old building, for those of you who remember. So in partnership with the Gateway PGA Reach organization, they'll build a golf training facility for youth on most of this site. I want to say one other thank you, and that is to Congressman Clay, who is here today. And I think he'll tell you a little about the history and his tremendous role in making this, in getting this site cleaned up. So thanks to all of you who have participated in this, and it's my good fortune to get to stand here with you today while most of you have done all the hard work and the heavy lifting to make this happen. Thank you. Congratulations, the Boys and Girls Clubs. PGA Reach, and everybody involved in this project. It's an exciting day for St. Louis and for this neighborhood. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor Cruson. We certainly appreciate it, and we appreciate you taking the time to stop by. She's been a regular visitor to the club, not just since she's become mayor, but she's participated in a number of programs and activities that we do here. And I also like to acknowledge Mayor Reggie Jones from the city of Delwood, if Reggie's still in the room. He actually works for us, so he's probably out doing his job. But we want to thank him for being here. You know, it's so important, the mayor mentioned partnerships and cooperation, to be able to rely on our regional EPA office to assist with this project. And it's my pleasure to introduce Jim Gulliford, who is the Region 7 Administrator for the EPA. Please welcome him.
Well, thank you so much, Flint. This is indeed a great day for us at the Environmental Protection Agency, and I can say with certainty that this would not have happened without the leadership, the commitment, the vision for this project that existed in this community, as well as the strength to move it through and make sure that it did get done. So this is a great day, and I would also like to acknowledge some people that have been very helpful to us at the Environmental Protection Agency. First, Congressman Clay, again. You know, he had, a vision for this, and he was able to shine a light on this that kept it in the public's eye, kept it in the agency's eye, and made sure that it did happen. And that's very important. So you folks can certainly appreciate the work that he did on behalf, again, of Missouri's 1st Congressional District. Also, Dr. Fowler, again, the leadership here and the partnership that was very important to work with us. And again, I think it's great, the program that you've got with the kids that already exist here and what's going to happen in the future. It's going to be only greater. I want a special call out to Otis Williams. You know, every time there seemed to be some barrier in the way, we could call on him, and he sort of had a magic way of creating a path through whatever the challenges were that we faced. And we're very grateful for that. Again, to have someone so close in the community that we could work with, a real get it done kind of person, and that's been great. I want to recognize Marcella Washington, thank her for being a part of the community action that was occurring here. She went door to door, talking to people, with our people, saying what we could do, what the opportunities were, but more importantly, asking them what they wanted. Again, that's when we listen to the community, that's when we do our best work. So again, also thanks to Alderman Bosley. He held us to our mission. He watched us very carefully and insisted that we do our job, that we do it right, and we do it right by this community. ACF Industries did the construction here and safely. When you're dealing with the type of contaminants that we were dealing with here, to have a contractor like that did that work certainly is appreciated. More than $35 million worth of cleanup work that here. And the last thing I want to do is call out my own staff. Some of them are here today, not all of them, but there are a number of people that their careers were invested in this site, people that are no longer actually working for the Environmental Protection Agency, and I want to call out some of them: Betty Berry, Hattie Thomas, Jeff Weatherford, Belinda Young, Scott Pemberton, Jim Stevens, and even Carl Brooks. These are people that names are familiar to many of you who have worked on this site for years. They're retired now, but again, if they were here, they would be celebrating with us. So the Carburetor site has a long and storied history, first as a manufacturing and industrial site, as was pointed out, but then for way too long, a community blight and a Superfund site. The Carburetor site and the communities that need EPA's attention the most are just exactly what we found here. In this beautiful Boys and Girls Club facility, this community asset suffered, as was pointed out, in the shadow of a Superfund site for far too long. And I'm delighted again to celebrate with you today the conclusion of the site work and the signing of the prospective purchaser agreement and the transfer of this property officially to the Boys and Girls Club of Greater St. Louis. So this really marks the beginning of a new chapter for Carburetor. We're always going to call it this site. But again, we will continue to be working with you because we will do 5-year assessments. We will come back and make sure that everything we expected to happen here from a community cleanup standpoint is occurring just the way we expected it. So we will be visiting the site on regular intervals to make sure that it continues to be safe and that everything that we did has a permanent and lasting mark on this facility. So again, this is a great opportunity. I look forward to visiting in the future. I've been asking everybody that I run into, can I come back and hit golf balls with the kids someday? That would be a great moment for me personally, as I raised my family and my kids as well. So now it's my pleasure now to introduce the Environmental Protection Agency's Administrator, Andrew Wheeler. And I'm happy to do this, and I'm really grateful that he could come and join us today, because it's been his leadership and his personal commitment to the Superfund program, both the cleanup of sites, the environmental benefits that occur from that, but also the opportunity for communities to work to develop sites in the vision that they have for them, so that they become community assets rather than blights. It's his commitment to that vision that I think has been so important to the Superfund program. And with that, my pleasure to introduce EPA Administrator Andrew Wheeler.
Good afternoon, and thank you everyone for coming to this important event today. Today's announcement is the culmination of years of hard work by a lot of people involved in the Carburetor cleanup. I think it's only appropriate to begin to recognize the efforts of everyone involved. I want to thank first Flint Fowler of the Boys and Girls Club of Greater St. Louis, and Mozella Washington with the Lindell Park Neighborhood Development Association for your organization's commitment to seeing this project through. I especially want to thank the mayor for her leadership and help in getting this site to where we are today. Thank you. I want to thank Carol Comer with the State Department as well. Carol, thank you for being here. And I especially want to thank Congressman Clay for being here today and for your leadership and your help on this site over the years. I told the congressman outside the room that and I won't hold him to agreeing with me on this, but I told him that what we are doing here today in St. Louis is far more important than anything that's going on in Washington, D.C. today. This project took a lot of vision and a lot of resilience on all of your parts. I especially want to thank Jim Gilliford and the Region 7 team for all of their hard work. I'd like to thank Megan Schutte, the on-scene coordinator, Adam Ruiz, the Superfund section chief, and Mary Peterson, the Superfund division director. Ozzie Smith and Ali Wells from the PGA Reach are here, as well as Otis Williams of the St. Louis Development Corporation. Ozzie, I remember watching you play at Busch Stadium when I was in law school here in Washington University. I also remember watching you on The Simpsons, and I'm very glad that you're here. Although my deputy chief of staff, who is from Southern California, tells me that in fact the greatest play you ever made playing short was as a rookie for his San Diego Padres. So sorry to all the Cardinals fans in the audience for that. Thank you for being here. This cleanup has been a long time coming. The Carter Carburetor plant closed in the mid-1980s, and the first site community involvement plan was written by EPA back in 1997, before any of the kids currently attending the Boys and Girls Club here were born. Also before my videographer from EPA, Jake Allen, was born. Just to put a little context on how long this has been going on. So it's not just the children that have been around longer than this site. The former plant provided a lot of good jobs and very meaningful work, like so many other large manufacturing plants in the country during the last century. But with historic heavy manufacturing came pollution, and to a point where this site was heavily contaminated with PCBs and other hazardous chemicals, and the dilapidated buildings were contaminated with asbestos. EPA worked for over a decade to stabilize the contamination, and then site cleanup began in 2013, when EPA entered into a $30 million settlement agreement with the potentially responsible parties. When the Trump administration entered office back in 2017, we redoubled our efforts to clean up Superfund sites and get them removed from the national priorities list and get them to be reused for the communities in which they were located. Last year, we delisted 27 Superfund sites, the most in a single year since 2001. And so far, we have delisted 61 sites over the last 3.5 years. This site today is being acquired by the Boys and Girls Club with a vision of turning it into a tremendous sporting opportunity. And this May, cleanup work was completed. Now the Boys and Girls Club is partnering with PGA Reach to build a golf training facility for youth on the property. This will provide youth golf education as an option for after-school activity and mentoring. The cleanup will allow the property in one of St. Louis's oldest neighborhoods, a designated environmental justice area, to be redeveloped and returned to productive use for the community. I will say that this site is one of the best examples of what a Superfund site can become. This new golf academy will change the neighborhood for the better and will offer real life and job skills for kids at the club. Last year, I was at the Westlake Landfill Superfund site in Bridgeton to celebrate the achievement of signing a record of decision for their site remedy. And earlier today, I got an update from some of the community organizers at Westlake, and things are really progressing there. So there's every reason to believe that this cleanup here is going to quickly lead to greater things for this neighborhood. Before I sign the agreement, I'd just like to say that EPA has worked hard to build trust with the community here in the Jeff Vanderloo neighborhood and downtown St. Louis. EPA is in the process of changing and improving the way it works with communities. We are improving our coordination and risk messaging so that communities can have more confidence in our risk communication, and that federal agencies are doing all that they can to clean up communities and telling them the truth about the environmental risks that they face. This new focus on community-driven environmentalism will promote community revitalization on a much greater scale. For too long, government programs at EPA and elsewhere have been siloed, completely separated from each other, and undermining and duplicating efforts instead of collaborating and finishing projects. By focusing EPA towards communities in the coming years, where past industrial pollution has had a negative impact on people and local economies, this agency, the EPA, which we celebrate our 50th anniversary this year, so we're both looking back at the last 50 years and looking forward to the next 50 years. We can transform ourselves into a much better version of government. That's what we're doing here in the St. Louis community and in Missouri and across the country, because we are a nation made up of communities, and communities are the foundation of this country, not the other way around. We could not have done this by ourselves. None of the partners here could have accomplished what we have done today without working together cooperatively to help this community. It took the federal government, the state, the city, the PGA Association, and the Boys and Girls Club, as well as other neighborhood organizations, to get to where we are. And we need to work together in order to improve communities like this across this country. This will become a poster child for the success of the Superfund program. It will offer examples to other communities across the country, and it will show people what we can do together when there is an environmental problem and we want to improve the lives of the families and, more importantly, the children who live in these communities. Thank you all for being here today.
Thank you, Administrator Wheeler. We certainly appreciate it. It's so refreshing and comforting to know that we have support at the federal level, and we appreciate you taking the time to come here. You mentioned earlier that you're glad to be out of D.C. Well, we're glad to have you here. And also to Jim Gulliford, we're glad to have you here. You know, I've kind of gotten spoiled over the years because it seems like every time we reach out to try to work with someone, they're willing to be a partner. And so we're grateful for both of you being here today to take part of this experience. And we also have a very supportive board of directors that have encouraged this project over the last, 10, 15, 20 years or so that we've been knocking at the door. Back when I was smaller and thinner, I used to be able to bend over backwards, and kind of create an arch, and then even flip over. And when I first looked at the Carburetor building, I said, well, I'll just send a letter to the mayor. He'll send some people over with a bulldozer. they'll tear the building down and we'll move forward, not understanding the implications of environmental contamination and ownership and, having property moved from one hand to another hand, all the things associated with it. So it's been a learning experience for me. I've learned more about environmental law and legal transactions than I had ever hoped to experience. My forte is around youth development, but now, if you need someone to come and speak on behalf of your organization regarding environmental cleanup, give me a ring. I'll be happy to show up. When this project first started, one of the people that we reached out to was Congressman Clay. He sort of put the pedal to the metal, if you will, to fast track this project to the degree that he could, understanding that there were other relationships associated with it. And we're grateful that he's here today, and I'd like to have him come and share some remarks.
Thank you so much, Dr. Fowler. And, today is a historic moment, not just because of the transfer of the Superfund site to the Boys and Girls Club, but because it represents a victory. And welcome back, Administrator Wheeler. Thank you for coming for this event. In older urban communities like here in St. Louis, there are many places just like Carburetor, abandoned, highly contaminated, former industrial sites that cast a toxic shadow which threatens the health and well-being of young people, seniors, and everyone else who live nearby. Many have still not been cleaned up because of the systemic racism that allows environmental hazards to linger for decades in certain neighborhoods and not in others. That was certainly true here in St. Louis, not just at Carburetor, but at the former St. Louis Army Ammunition Plant and at Westlake Landfill, as was mentioned by Administrator Wheeler. And Mr. Will, I want to thank you again for working so closely with Senator Blunt, Representative Wagner, and myself to finally get Westlake Landfill on the road to a cleanup. When completed, there will be another environmental victory for this region. Let's talk a little about Carburetor, which closed in 1984, leaving behind a terrible toxic cocktail of PCBs, TCEs, lead, asbestos, and other hazardous contaminants, not just in the old buildings, but in the soil too. Every day, hundreds of children walk by and sometimes through that dangerous site on the way to this Boys and Girls Club. In 2009, I prioritized this site with the Obama administration and with the support of the Missouri congressional delegation and the diligent work of EPA, especially Mr. Carl Brooks and the regional people out in Kansas City. And we went to work to nail down a cleanup plan that would be paid for by the responsible parties, keep this neighborhood safe, and when completed, offer a brighter future, not just for young people, but for everyone who lives in this historic neighborhood. And Ozzy, when I was a very young child, now I'm going to date myself, my father used to bring me to this neighborhood to attend Cardinal games at Sportsman's Park. I used to see Stan Musial, Bob Gibson, and God rest his soul, Lou Brock. And I will never forget the thrill of seeing my childhood stars and other heroes who made a huge impression on me. And my hope is that in the very near future, a new generation of young people will come here to discover new heroes and to be inspired to work hard, play hard, and build a future without limits. And the good people, and that's what this neighborhood deserves, and especially for the good people who live in it. Congratulations to Dr. Flint Fowler, to the PGA, and to all of you. May God bless you all. Stay safe, stay well. Thank you.
Thank you, Congressman Clay. And just to let you know, we're going to be working on this project, and I think it's something that everybody will be pleased with it. But we're not doing this in isolation. Great Rivers Greenway is now working on the Brickline Greenway, which will come down Grand and terminate at Fairgrounds Park. And so we are working cooperatively with them to ensure that our project aligns well with their project. So not only will we benefit from the work that's done at the old Carburetor site, but we'll experience the benefits of having greater interaction, walking paths, opportunities for people to congregate and to meet and greet each other as a result of that project as well. So great things are planned for this section of Grand, and we look forward to working closely with the community, neighborhoods, and others to make that happen. We've already been working closely with the folks at PGA Reach, so this is not a new relationship, but we're moving forward with a new chapter in our relationship, I should say. And I am so excited to have two representatives from the PGA leadership here, Allie Wells, the executive director, and the board chair, Mr. Ozzie Smith. And we'll have them come forward and share some thoughts.
Thank you, Flint, and thank you all for allowing us to be here today and to be a part of this awesome effort of collaboration. For those that may not know, the Gateway PGA, we're one of 41 sections of the PGA of America, and we're headquartered here in Chesterfield. We exist to serve and grow the game of golf across our region, and we do that through our 350 PGA professionals that are the boots on the ground of our association. PGA professionals are the owners, operators of golf facilities, head golf professionals, teachers and coaches at golf courses all around the bi-state region, central and eastern Missouri and central and southern Illinois. PGA Reach Gateway is our foundation. It started local and it stays local. We're blessed to have the incredible leadership of our foundation president, Ozzie Smith, as well as our board chair, Sue Rector, who's unfortunately unable to be here today. PGA Reach exists to improve lives through the community of golf, and we do that through 3 pillars of focus: youth, military veteran programs, and inclusion programs. This site has been one of our main focuses for almost 10 years, and we are excited to partner with the Boys and Girls Club of Greater St. Louis to see it transition into something useful and beneficial to the community. In the early years of our foundation, we partnered with Belle Reef Country Club to bring the 2013 Senior and 2018 PGA Championships to St. Louis, and we did so based on the idea that we could leverage major championship golf to create lasting, sustainable community impact long beyond the championships plane. Since securing those championships back in 2011, we are proud to say that we've poured over $1 million back into the North St. Louis community through partnerships with the Boys and Girls Club, Best Buy Teen Tech Center that you passed walking in, Big Brothers Big Sisters of Eastern Missouri, Urban K-Life, Hope Education, Urban Golf of Greater St. Louis, Diversity Golf Marketing Foundation, and so many more. We funded after-school programs, educational assistance programs, introduction to golf programs, internships, and more. And today, our mission and vision to impact and serve our community continues with the development of this site. I don't think we can understate the importance of tearing down the old, toxic, dilapidated building that once stood. What we also can't understate is the importance of creating a safe, clean, useful space for the community, and especially the kids of the Boys and Girls Club and surrounding organizations. And working closely with Flint Fowler and the leadership of the Boys and Girls Club, we envision creating a multi-purpose recreational space that would include, yes, golf, it's who we are, but also other things: walking paths, exercise stations, a playground, multifunctional, open, maintained space, and so much more. The space will be useful for the Boys and Girls Club, but also youngsters from other surrounding organizations. There are so many organizations and individuals pouring into this community, and many that use the game of golf to do so. PGA Reach, the Boys and Girls Club, Urban Golf of St. Louis, Diversity Golf Marketing Foundation, the Tee Masters, Urban K-Life, the First Tee, Missouri Golf Foundation, and that's just what I felt listed before you would stop tuning me out. We're excited for this space to come to life, to be access to the tremendous game of golf, where there are very few opportunities to do so in the city of St. Louis, and to serve the community through the leadership of the Boys and Girls Club. Thank you very much for having us here, and I'll let Ozzie say a few words.
Thank you, Allie. Thank you guys so much. You know, I think that my vision for this whole thing started when, as a kid growing up in Southern California, I was never exposed to the game of golf. And it was through that I thought that this would be a great way for young people who would never have the opportunity to be exposed to something other than football or baseball or whatever. So it's not just about the game of golf itself, it's about the business of golf, and it is also about the arts. I'm hoping that this facility turns into something much more than just the game of golf, because when you talk about golf, it's kind of engulfed this whole thing, but it's about education and making sure that kids get exposed to something that they otherwise would not have the opportunity to be exposed to. So thank you all for being here, and thank you for allowing us to be part of it.
Since I'm the MC, I'd like to take a privilege, if that's okay. We do have Alderman Brandon Bosley, who's here. He succeeded his father, as alderman, and he's a club kid. So he grew up here playing football, participating in programs and activities, and I wanted to acknowledge him and thank him for coming, and didn't know if he wanted to share a word or two. All right.
How you doing, Mayor? It's good to see you. It's always a pleasure. Thank you, sir. How is everybody today? Glad everybody is doing well. I have been a product of the Herbert Hoover Boys and Girls Club since I have moved into the neighborhood. Fortunately, when I got here at 7 years old, that's when they were taking people in. I think we may have, I'm not gonna go that far, but you know, this has been a pinnacle for most of the individuals who grew up in this community. A lot of times we don't have individuals who are invested in us. A lot of times we don't have people who have activities that are actually structure up for later on in life and being able to go out in the world and have fun with individuals that we grew up with, to go out and experience business opportunities for individuals that we grew up with. I think what's happening right here today is something that we've been waiting for a very long time. I've looked at that building across the street plenty of times and never knew exactly what it was. Fortunately, my father's old enough, he's 86 years old, to have seen it in operation and know how detrimental the chemicals that were to the actual people who were coming over here to be a part of the club. So I want to make sure how important it is for us to notice the effects that a lot of these different things in our community, environmental-wise, have taken on the children that's been in these communities. I don't know if you know, we have like some of the highest lead problems in the entire city. We have some of the highest asthma rates in the entire city, and a lot of these old facilities contributed to that. So it's amazing to have such an amazing completion of a project and have these actual facilities cleaned up the right way, utilizing the right resources. As you know, in a lot of other places they say things were not done the right way. We didn't have a community out here that are saying things that weren't done the right way. The community is appreciative. The community accepts this as a part of the community because they were a part of it being getting to this particular point. So I appreciate you, Flynn. I appreciate being a part of this this historical pinnacle point in history. Because I don't know if you know, there ain't nowhere to golf around here. I've actually never been golfing in my own neighborhood. I think that's pretty awesome. My son, this is my son here playing with his pet plastic dog. He'll be able to grow up here in this club also and be experiencing something different that I was not exposed to. Different sports bring different type of individuals. It brings different culture. It brings different type of business ventures. It brings a different once again, a different culture. So as we have so many different sports that are already going on in the club, being able to add one extra that people already see, and I want to make sure that we know this, a black man has been one of the world leaders in, Tiger Woods. I think it's amazing to be able to come right down the street in your neighborhood and try to practice some of the skills that he has on the internet, some of the things that you've seen him do. And you can be accomplishing the same goals at the same time. So it's an amazing thing. I appreciate everybody for being here. We got amazing things going on in the neighborhood, amazing things going on in the 3rd Ward. If you got some money, come on down. Let's have some conversation. Let's build on this. Thank you. You don't have to choose your candy. Just take it with you.
Thank you. Thank you, Brandon. We appreciate it. And thank you, Mayor Cruz. And we know you have another meeting. We appreciate you coming as well. I'd like to call Mr. Jim back up. I think he has a couple of presentations. Following that, we will sign the PPA and we'll allow you to get on your way. Thank you so much for coming.
We've got some certificates of appreciation for a lot of the people that made this happen. And clearly we can't recognize everybody, but there were some very special people. And so we'd like to provide a certificate of appreciation from the Environmental Protection Agency to the Gateway PGA Reach Foundation. So Ozzy and Ali, if you would. Thanks for being in the future. Second, Dr. Fowler, the Boys and Girls Club of Greater St. Louis. St. Louis Land and Revitalization Authority. Please. And ACF Industries, again, putting the iron to the side.